Too late.
Hello,
It's the
everybody.
car.
Hello. Welcome back to Mass Effect. All right, so the whole crew is kind of like gathering around the door and whatnot, and because of the fact that they're gathering around the door, they are a bit concerned. I mean, I don't think Winnie's an idiot, is she? What's her wisdom?
No. Wisdom might be a little bit less.
That's 7.
Wisdom 7.
She's
That's fine.
you know what? She's kind and trustworthy. So
Uh-huh.
when the alliance soldier says, "Hey Winnie, come here. Can you come stand over here for a sec?" And like has you stand in front of the door when the door opens up, so you're like standing in front of him when the door opens up. Winnie probably just thinks, "Oh, hey, he wants me to greet my friends." And not he's using me as soft cover. Okay.
Right.
So when the door opens up, he is standing there with you kind of like he's standing like half behind you. You know what I mean? Like one of these setups, like half behind you. So his shoulder's behind one of yours. You're standing directly in front of him. The other three are deeper into the shuttle. The shuttles, again, are very small and fairly open, but trying to make sure that they have hard cover from the walls of the doorway itself, right? To make sure things are safe. So the door opens up. And you look out into the darkness. You guys actually see the inside of the ship has light on, but it is a bit of a dimmer. It's not like full brightness like you would typically see. It's about 3/4 brightness on the inside of the ship. And you can see that there is an Alliance military officer standing there, and in front of him is standing a Quarian inside of her suit. And so they're standing there in front of you guys. The door opens up, but I believe the one that's immediately in front right now happens to be the Krogan, right? And so as soon as the door opens up, from way in back with the sniper rifle out, you guys hear Clark say, I'm over here. You know, just kind of like holds his hand up. It has clearly his rifle in his hand at the ready if he needs to, like drop down, take aim and fire. So he's kind of like, I'm over here. And the guy kind of looks back and sees that the person is over there. Seems a little perplexed by the fact that he's hanging in back with a rifle in hand. But looks about at the rest of you guys and says, and you're all working for the Alliance?
I mean, they're paying us.
They are on the payroll. We had to get a team together quick when we heard that the ship went dark. And so the guy nods to that and he's like, we didn't send out a distress signal. It wasn't this ship we were looking for. It's the one you connected to. Oh. And so he kind of like gestures, the guy behind you, when he gestures, like gives you kind of a bit of a nudge, not a push or anything rude whatsoever, a bit of a nudge to walk forward.
I'll just kind of like wave and walk forward. Like, I'm so glad you guys are here. I really don't think they were gonna last much longer.
And so you kind of like walk forward and you know see the Krogan. You see sadly you don't see cattle. Like you see a group of people in front of you, but you don't see cattle in front of you. And then after you walk forward and nothing bad seems to happen, he comes forward as well and steps off the ship and then immediately heads straight over to Clark. However, while heading over to Clark, he does give like a look to the Krogan, like a concerned look, and even after he passes him, looks back behind him probably twice to just like keep an eye on the Krogan.
Oh,
So-
yeah, I'm going to try and go into the shuttle when like everyone gets out.
So the other three, so you're saying that you're kind of like waiting for others to get out. So we'll hold off of you for a second. Does all your Aaron, do you guys do anything?
They probably need attention.
Oh, I would then get like my medical kit out and start turning to go to the people on the ship and start asking questions. Not role play like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny
Just
actually.
starting
'Cause
to
as
tend to-
soon as
if
you
they
walk
let me.
onto the ship, one of the people on the ship says, "Oh my God, I died and I'm in heaven," and then another one on the ship is like,
I would just go into comms, even though we're all within like talking distance, but we're in like vacuum space. Like, it appears some of them are suffering from hallucinations.
So she goes on, so it doesn't seem like they're going to be leaving the ship. One of them does, the one that kind of like made the grunt of like dissatisfaction. He gets off of the ship, stops and looks at the Krogan for a second and just kind of like, and then immediately turns and just walks like away from the group of everybody and kind of like holds his side and makes his way over. And you can clearly see he's holding his side and makes his way over. It looks like he's injured, maybe has some sort of abdominal injury happening, and makes his way over away from everybody else whatsoever. If you guys aren't listening in specifically, the two Alliance people are off to the side having their conversation. Clark and what's his name are having their conversation off to the side.
Can I listen in through comms, or is it?
They're not using. They're actually using a secure channel between the two of them. So unless you're close enough to try to listen in or something like that, yeah. So they're having their conversation, and you're checking out the bodies and everything. Aaron, I suppose it's just you and Frank standing in front of one another. If you say hi or anything like that.
I'd probably say hi.
Okay, so before you actually do your introductions, your greets or anything, could you do me a favor and describe your character?
Sure. So she is short because Quarians are usually on the smaller side anyway, but you can tell she's smaller because she's young. She is dressed in very bright colors. Ollie did some fantastic artwork for it, like lots of oranges and pinks. And she has a rather large like gun case next to her, which she probably has been kind of like half leaning against this whole time, but she hasn't taken it out. And a heavy pistol at her side.
So you walk up to the Krogan and you say,
I say hi.
Hey,
So glad you're here.
nice gun.
Thank you.
And looks over towards the case.
I'll actually open it up so you can like see it. Like,
Oh yeah, he like immediately goes over and it's like, because, you know, this is a human-sized shuttle and he's like 7 foot something, so he's like already like hunched over, just.
She's like, yeah, it's an older model, but look what I did to it. And I'll show you like all like I'll walk you through like all like the various like modifications I made to it.
It's like the only thing he's smart about is guns.
It's just like when we were talking with Cracks earlier. It's like the exact
Yeah.
themes, like a TV show.
So yeah, like it's so much more efficient. Like if you do it this way, like and she'll just like kind of like it's kind of cool actually. There's like 2 modifications made on this gun. And one of them is like customized like just for the Quarian, so it's probably something to do with like the 3 fingers or something.
Probably. But yeah, Cracks like looks down towards the gun as best as he can in this small cramped space, and it says, "I'll show you mine later. It's a little cramped in here." Why are
I can
you
just
so
imagine
small?
the both of these just sitting in a room for hours and going, it is this and this, and it just giddy's like, oh, that's great.
We have a lot of time in space, so
That's true.
I better have
Space.
something to talk about instead of just
Nobody
space
can hear
banging.
you squeak.
You've got a special broom closet for your little talk, so.
I don't think both of them can fit in there at the same time. Winnie's small, Cracks big.
And lots of guns.
Yeah, so she'll pack everything up when they're done.
And yeah, he actually goes on like the public radio channel that they have going on. Just says, "Hey Sparky, can we keep this thing? It's a little small in here, but can we keep it?"
he
Not-
listens to
not
like, what you say to him.
Victorian.
He looks over and he's like, "You mean the shuttle?
Yeah. What did you think I meant?
The shuttle it belongs to the Alliance."
Can we keep it?
Yes, the Alliance will keep the shuttle. You cannot.
Yeah, but we're working for the Alliance,
Correct.
so we can keep it.
He looks to the other one and he just kind of like gives him a look and just like shakes his head at the other person he's speaking to, and then he doesn't respond again.
So she'll actually like go off the comms for a second, and we'll turn to the Krogan, and she's like, maybe we can strip it for parts. Sure, I can find
That's
something
exactly
on
why I
there.
came on. It's like, and he like pulls out the magnet from his backpack. Look, I grabbed this before. Souvenir,
Ooh.
but hey, it just like throws it back into his bag.
So I'll
yeah,
start looking for stuff I can take.
yeah. There's like
I'm
it's
in
up
the
now,
ship.
well,
I just want to point out, I'm in the ship.
Yep.
If you start doing this just within like sight,
Jesus Christ.
Mama Asari's not going to be very happy.
Bunch of thieves, I swear to
Yeah.
God.
Cracks.
She
this,
might
you
not
know.
realize what you're
There
doing.
are other Alliance personnel in the ship as well.
Oh, are there?
Oh,
I thought
yeah.
they were
Yeah, that's
They're
why I'm in
being-
the ship.
There are
I
2
thought they
others in
left.
there. There's the whiny one and the one that was like, I died and went to heaven, and they're being looked at medically by the Asari, who's also in the ship.
Oh,
So,
I thought they all stepped off the show.
She'll still say that to the Krogan, but yeah. But she won't like actively start looking for stuff to steal.
Just like wait there casually, just start
Yeah.
whistling and like little
Yeah,
Asari.
he's just like looking around
Exposed.
innocently at the moment, or as innocent as a Krogan can look when he's looking to steal something. yeah,
just leaning.
yeah,
it's like
leaning
you know,
at things. I like
He like puts his hands on the flat screen TV just to make sure, like wiggles it. It's like, yeah, I can rip this off later.
That's funny. So you guys are like looking around there, seeing if there's anything of value that maybe you can try to snag later on. But eventually, the two of them finish their conversation, and they make their way over to you guys. And Clark says, "All right. So here's the situation. The crew that was here on this ship, on this frigate before, they're, as we know, all deceased. These four, as we had discussed earlier today, they were lucky enough to have already been in their suits, and so they survived when the venting of the ship happens. They've survived the past few days with practically no food and water in this shuttle right here, using its life support to keep their own suits charged and to keep them breathing. This is good news. The bad news is they have no clue what it was that hit their ship. They don't know why. They don't know how. They barely spent any time investigating the central ship. The one time that they did spend investigating, all they found was, and he gestures towards the Quarian, Winnie, is it?
Yeah, Winnie Jen.
Winnie Jen. They found Winnie Jen here. They were able to bump into her, and she more or less just described a similar situation with your ship.
Yeah.
Just
That's
everything
happened.
vented, and you were just lucky enough to be Quarian?
Yeah.
Well, that sounds unfortunate, aside from the fact that you were, in fact, a part of a ship that that was about to pirate a free-floating dead-in-space ship, which is absolutely, under every jurisdiction, we are allowed to arrest you and hold you to trial in accordance to Alliance space laws. So, I understand that there is some sort of deal that you made with the lieutenant here, wherein he's willing to seriously reduce your sentencing if you're willing to cooperate in finding out what the fuck went wrong. So why don't we look into seeing what we can do here? They're starving, so the first thing we need to do is head back to our ship and get everybody here a bite to eat, and then we're gonna get to work. I am concerned about what hit their ship and whether or not it's gonna hit ours. Everybody understand? Good. We need to get Cattle up to speed anyways. Mind you, Cattle, you heard all of that.
I'll just chime in. It's like, I heard everything. We're good.
He nods. Cattle doesn't see it, but everybody else does. And then he tells the person that still hasn't gotten out of the pilot's seat in the ship. He calls over to him. He's like, "Hey, Private, power down that ship and save its battery reserves." And he stops and thinks for a second. He's like, "Actually, are there any Type B power cells inside there?" And the private's like, And he's like, "How many are there?" 2. How full are the batteries? Half charge, I think. Can you transfer the charge from the 2 into one of them? Is that a no? It's like, and it's kind of like one of those things where you guys aren't convinced that it can't be done. It's probably he's just not going to do it. And so Clark then just says, "All right, carry both Type B power cells out here then." And it's And so a couple minutes later, he eventually powers down the ship, and you see him like dragging out behind him 2 Type B power cells, and clearly just like not even lifting his feet, shimmying along, just like being super. He's starving. There's no question about that. He's very uncomfortable. It's not a very good situation at the moment, but he's being clearly melodramatic. It's a little annoying.
It's the whiny one, isn't it?
He's the whiny one.
Oh God.
But you guys didn't know that prior. Only poor Winnie did. And so
It's apparent now.
Clark does say to Cracks, he's like, "Cracks, can you carry those?"
Cracks just like turns around. Sorry, I meant to mute it. Cracks just like he turns around, and it's just like, "Carry what? What? No, I can't carry the ship."
The 2 Type B power cells. Can you carry those?
Wait, why are we powering down the ship? I thought we were taking it.
Why would we take the shuttle? Can't fit in our ship.
Yeah, we can.
Parts of it can fit.
We can space tow it.
This is not a conversation we're going to have now. Priority number 1, let's keep this crew alive. Priority number 2, we're going to investigate the ship that caused all these problems, find out what it is. Priority number 3, get everybody home safe. Everything above and beyond that can be discussed at a later date. So, priority 1, let's get them back to the ship and keep them going. Please carry those 2 Type B power cells.
He just takes them and just like looks over his shoulder towards the Quarian as best as he can. It's like, you know, on their private channel, it's like, just grab some stuff for me, and like walks off the shuttle.
So you guys are heading out. So it's not one of those things where they're really, so we're going to get to one person in a second. It's like they're sitting there and watching Winnie or watching Cracks, or they're not really watching you guys. However, Clark is very much kind of like gesturing people along to have them head back over to the stairwell you guys just came down. And it's kind of like, let's go, and not really watching you, just like looking and keeping an eye on everybody and saying, go. However, the one person that clearly called her suit rat and doesn't like the Krogan and so on and so forth, he's like watching her and watching Cracks with like and then watching Entourage as much as possible. Just kind of like, so he's split attention, but he's like watching them. Like, I don't trust them. These aliens.
I'll tell Cracks, like, he is not nice. Let me tell you.
Seems kind of scrawny.
I think it's funny you guys want to rip apart the one functioning ship that's here. Like, this is the one thing that could save us if everything goes wrong. Take it apart, rip it down. We don't need it. Come on, pull the wheels off.
I'm sure there's
Things
useful
go
bits in there
wrong,
somewhere.
they'll build a new ship.
Look,
Fine.
we're
Yeah,
not
it's
taking
fine.
like the important bits. We're just taking the
fun parts.
the
Yeah, the
parts
fun
we can sell, or you know, like, you don't need a flat screen TV to survive in your house.
You can buy an engine anywhere, but where are you gonna find those nice little headrest things that you have in the shuttles for shaky landings? You know, they're not everywhere, and Krogan, they're really good for keeping your feet up when you're relaxing. So
Exactly.
it just makes sense.
Plus, Cracks needs like extra pillows.
So you guys make your way to do you try to snag anything, Erin, or knowing that this guy's watching you? Do you try to snag anything, or no? It's up to you entirely.
Not yet.
So you choose to make your way along, and where you can just more or less fast forward. You guys make your way back to the ship. One of the things that you notice along the way, though, clearly none of them are feeling well. Let's get to Ollie for a second. Ollie, can you do me a favor? Make me a medical check.
Yeah.
And by the way,
what
because
I
you
would've-
had time and because you were scanning so many of them, I'll give you a +2.
Well, it would be scanning, of course, but what I would have done, especially when we had the orders to leave, is give them like a minor drug that makes it, you know, they can at least make it the way out. But I do not know anything about humans, so I might not have helped. But I assume there's a minor stimulant I could have done, just so I was like, okay, you could make it to the ship with this.
That's funny that you rolled.
To the people I can.
Yeah. Did you roll?
No,
Really?
I rolled like trash, which is funny because I don't know anything about
He
it.
gave one of them space Viagra.
Oh, you know what I did? I did +2 again.
Oh, I'm like, that makes no sense. I'm like, you had a modifier, you rolled a 5.
I mean,
So-
do you want to just use that +2?
Yeah. We'll use that, but you have a modifier normally, don't you?
No. I
'Cause
had a
it's-
0 in first aid and no intelligence buff.
Oh, okay. So that's why.
I'm
It's a 7.
wise.
Cool. All right.
I'm
So
wise and thick. I'm not.
Yep.
I'm not intelligent.
nope, you're good. So you get your what was the total there? A 7, and you investigate them to see what's going on or whatever. And you can just see that literally it's just dehydration and starvation is what's getting them. They're actually able to stay decently hydrated. Like, they're not at critical levels of hydration, but it's certainly concerning levels. Something that can be recovered over the course of, like, say, 48 hours of appropriate.
We'll put them on an
medical
IV
attention.
when they're on the ship or something like that.
Absolutely. And something that can be fixed instantly if you wanted to, like, if we're not worried about long-term effects, you can easily, okay, we can super hydrate your body, make you good to go with, like, certain types of medical aids, but there's no need. Food, that's going to take several days of eating the correct foods and whatnot. One of the things you automatically know, because humans' anatomy is similar enough to other people's anatomy and whatnot, that you know that they should not shovel food in their faces.
No, of course.
Yeah. So you guys make your way back to the ship, no problems whatsoever. One of the fun things is when you guys get back over to the sky bridge, you see that the 2 doors are sealed once again. So he calls over to Cattle and he's like, open the first door. The first door opens up, and as soon as the first door opens up, there's a bit of a as like a small breeze comes in. First door is closed. Everybody piles into it. Excuse me, what is that? 9 of you? No, 8 of you pile into the area. It's a bit of a tight fit, but you are all in there. The door closes. You start like releasing air into the place, and almost immediately as you do so, once again, you can feel the Quarian also has the ability in her suit. As you can see, the air pressure outside of this immediately dropping. It's one of those like, oh, their bridge, like the same kind of bridge that your ship used to attach onto the science vessel, their bridge is not good. It's not in good shape. It is not in good condition whatsoever. It is literally leaking atmosphere into space. And that is what's holding you, this one little tube between alive and not alive. So,
That's not safe.
no, it's not in good condition at all. But then he says, open the second door, and then the door opens up, and you guys are, I imagine, you quicker than you would have beforehand, scrambling to get out, like, yeah, I'm good. And you get onto their ship. Their ship is ugly. I think you actually watched the stream between before the session, so you understood the description beforehand. But it's ugly as shit. However, immediately when you walk in, as soon as you walk in, roll me a electronics intelligence check.
All right.
You can immediately hear once you go on, the whirring of the engine is has a bit more effort to it than it otherwise should. Yes, it's an Alliance ship, and these just aren't as good as Quarian ships by any stretch of the imagination. However, this does not sound like a healthy engine, and you're standing immediately adjacent to the engine room. I don't know if that's something you'd be interested in looking at, or if it's like, meh, and you go about other things.
I would actually probably just go walk in.
Okay.
Kind of examine what's going on.
Sure. So we'll say you were like one of the first
What's
3
wrong with
onto
it?
the ship. You'll hear the thing and just be like, ooh, and then just kind of like immediately head that direction.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as you kind of like come up and immediately head that direction, when Clark comes through and he looks around and sees like you had just gone into that room, Clark will say to the other lieutenant, and he'll be like, just head right up those stairs over there. That's going to be, you'll find the living space up there. There should be enough food for you guys. And go ahead, Ollie.
What I'd be doing when I'm on, which is probably after these guys, is leading the 3 that I've started treating. The guy that's being racist, I actually think is well, because he hasn't made any indication that he's not, because he's kind of walked off immediately. And I would be putting them in the 3 beds in the thing and putting IVs to have... So instead of eating, which is dangerous when you're starving, we'd be IV nutrient feeding them.
So you'd be going to IV...
If I can with my medical kit, but that seems resin logic.
You go to IV nutrient feed them to the 4 that are there. The one person that's like, that one guy's like, get the fuck away from me.
No, of course. That's she wouldn't go to him because she thinks he's well.
Oh,
Because he walked away immediately.
Oh,
And
okay.
there's only 3 beds.
I'm sorry.
so
I
it
thought
kinda
you were referring to the
perfectly works out
lieutenant who walked away immediately.
No,
I'm so sorry.
because
So
the
good.
lieutenant was talking to dude.
So the lieutenant who was kind of like, he's kind of trying to seem like he has command and everything. Clearly, you can see the bags under his eyes. You can see the paleness of his skin, the lack of elasticity. That he's not doing well. He's just doing the best he can to seem like he's doing well. He actually would make sure that you gave attention to the other ones first, but it's one of those like, please, for the love of Christ, help me. When it finally gets to his turn. So going back down to Clark, as soon as you came on board, Aaron, and you went straight over to the thing, Clark kind of comes in like less than a minute later on, taps on the wall, and looks over at you. You probably already sitting on the floor, have something open and playing with your tools.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, Winnie, was it?
Yep.
What are you doing?
You don't hear that clicking? That noise?
No.
No, there's something wrong with the engine. It's okay. I think I can fix it.
Have you ever worked on an Alliance vessel before? Or a human vessel, I should say, kind of looking around at the fact that this thing's a dump?
No, but I'm familiar with this kind of... It'll be fine.
Should I send Ontario down? She was the one working the engineering before. She might be able to give you some insight onto the schematics of the vessel.
Yeah, that's fine.
And he's kind of like, looks at you like concerned, like, do I leave her? And then he's like, well, just be careful.
I'm just like opening up stuff.
Yep.
Like...
actually, before I go, may I ask you a question? And before I continue with that, Frank, what's Cracks doing?
Oh, he's 100% playing with the magnet.
Oh, so he's
He's
just
like
kind of
already trying to get things off of it.
nice. Instead, it's getting stuck to things, and things getting stuck to it. Nice.
Yep.
Cattle. Everybody else is like immediately behind you, eating and getting IV'd and whatnot. You're, in the bridge area. That being said, do you ever leave the bridge and like go kind of like wave hi to people, or do you just stay exactly where you are?
I've done my thing now. I've let them in and all that. I'd probably pop in real quick to see what the general gist of it is. I'd probably pop down to engineering to have a quick word with Winnie. Because, this is kind of weird. Why are you here?
Okay, so while you're doing that, as you walk through the area and just kind of like say hi and very quick and brief introduction to everybody, just like, hey, I'm Cattle. Or Kettle, whatever your name is, Kettle
Olan.
Kettle Olan.
I'm not going to give them the full name.
Of course.
They probably wouldn't understand it.
Just kind of like
Look
say
at the
hi.
spaceships. Human grace.
And the lieutenant actually goes over and shakes your hand. So it's one of those, like, he shakes your hand while getting his IV put in. And he's like, pleasure to meet you and thank you for what you've done. We heard your message. We just weren't sure who you were. I hope you don't mind and don't take offense.
Understandable. I'd have done the same thing.
Nods to that. There's one person across the room who's looking at you like just with sheer disgust. In this person's eyes, you literally look like a dripping loogie from somebody's mouth. Like, he's just like, ugh. Just like, you are a disgusting sight to him, and it's clearly on his face. So
Is Cracks
I
in the
look at him,
room
like, while I'm
with
scanning
this
the
guy?
room from left to right, I just lock eyes with him for half a second, let him know, like, I've noticed you, and then just glance away again. He's nothing to me.
So Frank, that's up to you. Would you have gone into a cramped little space with everybody else, kind of like including your?
Is it the quarters?
Correct.
Yeah, no, he's probably like sitting like at the doorway of his room, trying to like fiddle with this.
Is he sitting on the floor and like his legs are coming
Yeah.
out of the doorway?
Oh yeah, God yeah.
Occasionally, Anthony would ask you like medical questions, not expecting you to answer. Just like, it's easier to say things out loud. I imagine just like, meh.